Good morning, good evening, and welcome to this week's chat. So it is early Monday morning here for me. I am from the future, and I just, you know, I'm not awake. I've only had 1.5 coffees. How are you going? Let me know in the chat. Are you awake? Is it morning? Is it evening? What time is it for you? I'm going to sip some more coffee. There we go. Hang on, I don't need headphones, so I'm taking them off. It was just making it so I could hear the music, but I've decided I don't want to hear the music. I just want to focus on what we're doing today. So let me jump in here. We do have some good morning. So good morning to live stream consultants. Woohoo, made it on time. Wait, you're going for, no, don't even joke about that. Don't even joke. Good morning from Thailand. Amazing yacht destinations. It's so good to see you here. I have set up the Buy Me a Coffee thing through Ecamm. So I'm actually running through Ecamm into StreamYard. So if someone happens to buy me a coffee, I should see it. But I've just realized my little creator mix thing, where is it there? That might cover where I put it. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. We'll see. So thank you so much to all of you jumping in live. I really appreciate you every week getting in here, being in the audience, giving me someone to talk to. And so what I wanted to talk about today is about I go live every week, even when I'm tired, obviously. And I just wanted to know what's stopping you from going live. What is it that's making it so you haven't hit the go live button? If you are going live, let me know in the chat. And if you're not going live, please tell me why. Please, so that I can try and help. My goal here is to have a bunch of really confident people, or even a bunch of people who aren't confident, but just confidently hit the go live button. Even just once, like, oh, I did it. I'm here. Uh-oh, I'm live. Okay. So Florida Manufactured Home Living is here. He's eating his pasta Alfredo with shrimp and shredded Italian cheese. That is awesome. I hope you're enjoying it, because it is dinner time in your neck of the woods. It is Sunday night for some of you. I am totally aware. So some of the reasons that I have seen why people don't go live, and I'm just going to plow on here, is they feel they don't have the technology nailed. They don't have what they want to talk about nailed. That they're just not ready. Now, what I want to say about the not ready thing, and I have to remind myself of this nearly daily, okay? This is not something that just happens or comes naturally, is if you wait till you're ready, it'll never happen. Do you know why? Do you know why waiting till you're ready will never happen? Because you'll never be ready. It's a confidence thing. And I'm one of these people that just I really do lack in self-confidence. And it is just one of these things I just constantly have to push myself and remind myself, don't wait till you're ready, because you just won't do it. And I can talk about this a lot because it's something I really can understand. But what I have to do for myself is just push through it. I go, okay, I may not be emotionally ready to go hit the live button, but it's time to go live. So take a deep breath and hit go. So that's how I deal with it. Different people will need to deal with it in different ways, but that's what works for me. So, like those of you that have been around the channel, that have been here for a little while, you understand there was a long time between streams for a while there last year. And that was because I had a confidence hit, as in lack of confidence hit, not as in, yay, more confidence. No. A lack of confidence hit. I had a pile of like rejections and refusals and oh, wow. It works. I mean, it is right in the middle of the screen. So I need to work out how to fix that. Thank you, Amazing Yacht Destinations, for my 3 coffees. I'm going to have to muck around with the placement, but it's definitely there and it definitely works. Let me just unlock this. Hang on a second. Unlock. And then no. Where is the overlay? I don't even know. I'm so totally sidetracked now. I'm totally sidetracked. No, that's not it. I'll have to play with it later. But anyway, thank you so much for those coffees. And also thank you so much for sending through that video that you made so that I could, it gave me the boost to just get in and do it. It was something I knew I could do over on Ecamm, and bring that into StreamYard. So I was able just to jump in and do that. Tried it. Thank you. I appreciate you trying it. Good to see you as well, Legal Minded Friends with Karen. Tech for Your Needs. It's so good to see you. Most of you guys that are in here, I think, at least those of you that are chatting, I think I've seen some live streams from you. I think there's been some. But so what I was saying was I last year I had some confidence, you know, well, in Australia we'd say kick to the guts, right? Kick right in there. And it really, it really affected me. And don't do that. It's one of these things of learn from my mistakes. Don't make that mistake yourself. I let it really, I just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And I had a really good friend of mine basically just go, what are you doing? You've got all this knowledge and you're not sharing it with anybody. How selfish are you? And I was just like, what? And they're like, it's you denying sharing what you know with people so they don't have to go through the same stuff you did. It's kind of selfish. And I was like, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. Right? Okay. But you know, what do I do? You know, and all these excuses were like, but this happened and this happened. I'm like, yeah. And that was all bad for sure. And, you know, it was hard, but you've got to get back up. You can't just lay here and wallow forever, right? So it was kind of like, you know, I've got a short out that says, don't wait for the perfect storm of everything. I had the perfect storm, right? So I'd recently had this conversation and then Nick was traveling, Doug was traveling. I knew there's a really great time slot of people who want YouTube information that was just going to be sitting there. So I thought, I'll stream into that spot. I'll stream into it. And that's when that's when the whole momentum started back up. Sometimes just taking the first step can really help to just boost that momentum along. Here we go. Russell says, I simply don't think live is the most productive use of my time. I'm going to assume time in growing my business at this point. Will likely include one in my next course launch later in the year, contemplating live or podcast. Awesome. So you've considered it. You've considered it for your use case scenario and you've sat down and you've thought, okay, it's not going to work for me right now. And that's 100% okay. That is awesome. I'm glad you've thought about it. That's great. I was planning to go live, but this year started with a lot of work, but all the planning is coming together and we'll do my first live soon. That is awesome because I also understand sometimes stuff comes up, right? Things happen and you have to be willing to be a little flexible and then keep going. That's awesome. Live streaming consultant says, I have 2 channels, been live on my other channel and on my streams as a guest and a panelist. This channel is in the putting everything I am and have learned over 300 to 400 streams. Okay, that is awesome. That is awesome as well. I love that. I love that you guys are considering it. And that's part of it as well. Sometimes you're like, well, what would I even do in a live stream? And that's fair. You have to just think, would your community or your audience appreciate a live stream? Are they the kind of audience that would never appreciate a live stream? There is a large proportion on YouTube that don't watch live streams. It's just a fact. But if you have a small, even like a smallish audience where you may have a couple of people that you can impact, it might be worth having a go. It's also, I'll point this out, but it's also good to actually go live when your audience is smaller so they can grow with you as well. Those people that start out like with you when you're like, like right now, we've got 5 people in the chat. You've got a small audience watching. These people that come every week when you're still falling down and knocking things over and having technical glitches and these are the people that going forward will be your foundation audience. They'll be the ones that when someone new comes into the chat, they'll be the ones to say, hi, welcome. These are the kinds of people you would consider to add as a moderator down the track when you need more moderators. There is an advantage to starting it out when you're small. Good morning, Holly. It's great to see you here. Thanks for joining. I'm just going to have a bit more water. Okay, so we have talked a little about being emotionally ready. And how you probably will actually not be emotionally ready and how you just need to forge ahead. And even if you go live and it turns into a dumpster fire, you can learn from that. Absolutely. Florida manufacturers, another factor I feel if I start to commit to regular broadcasts and I'm not ready to do that right now. Absolutely. And see, for me, the kind of audience that I have on both my channels, they are used to my regular broadcast. And if I can't do a regular live stream, I actually feel a little bit guilty about it. It's something that I'm like, oh, I don't just cancel a live stream willy-nilly. I really have to be like, okay, I've got no way around this. I just have to not live stream. So sometimes you do have to think of what the priorities are. For me, I found that live streaming, especially on my Fiberific channel, became a way that I could continue the channel while being completely overloaded with work, because a 1 to 2 hour live stream was a lot less of a time commitment than the production of a whole nother video. Now, in saying that, I don't recommend doing that. If you have a channel that's really strong in search, that's really strong and bringing in people through your regularly uploaded videos, and then you just switch to live only, it'll stall the growth of your channel. I'm not going to lie about that. It's totally what happened to me. It can, and unless you are doing something crazy and amazing in your live streams, which I'm not, it can totally stall your channel. So it's different for gaming channels. Obviously, some gaming channels are live stream only. It's just how they run, but their audience is already live stream only. They weren't VOD into live stream. So you do have to take all of these things into consideration and work out what is the balance for you as the creator. Because as Russell said here, you have to be able to commit to being able to do these things. You have to be able to commit to a regular live stream time, even if it's regularly once a month or once every 2 months or once every 3 months. I like to go weekly just because my brain copes better when I do things every week. So that's a selfish thing on my part of doing it weekly. It makes it easier for me to remember it and to not book over it and to prepare for it. So yeah, that's definitely a consideration. Lots of saying hellos to each other. I love that. The biggest thing I've found is to be prepared and be okay in your own skin. Your audience will appreciate it immensely. Yes, they really will. They really will. I mean, knowing what you're talking about is probably a good thing. Like I do see people like, oh, what should I make my channel about? And it's like, well, what are you passionate about? And they're like, well, what will make me money? And I'm like, that's not really gonna work, is it? You really do need to think about something that you're passionate about, something that you could talk, like you think about the thing that you could talk about for 20 minutes without taking a breath. That's probably what you should be live streaming about or chatting about on your channel. Good morning, Home Rapid Repair. I'm consistent with my live streams weekly. The current viewers are still lower. However, the replays are really picking up nicely. My last one had 25 times the normal replay viewers. Absolutely. Sorry, I just saw Doug. Absolutely. And this is the thing, depending on how you make your live streams, you can make it enjoyable for those of you that come in on the replay. Not everybody can be here at exactly the same time, because I'm not sure if you guys know this, but did you know that we live in a world that has multiple time zones? I'm just saying. There are multiple time zones, and trying to find a time zone to work for every single person, that's not going to happen. So what you need to do is have a look at who the majority of your audience are, see what their locations are, and go, okay, what time zone works best for them, but also me, that I don't have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to live stream. So, you've got these things. Oh, that's my dog losing his mind. I think providing this content live is awesome for me. No editing at all. Absolutely. So you've got the option. I hope you guys aren't being deafened by my dog. You've got the option of actually downloading, especially if you're using something like StreamYard, where you can download your live stream and edit that up and just make it then re-upload it as a separate piece of video. You can totally do that. There's nothing stopping you. And then, or you can do what I do, which is I send my, I'm just like, I thought I put everything on mute. I obviously did not. Is your dog stopping you from live streaming? Yeah. He's just barking at the world. He's just barking at the world. So I've lost my frame of thought for just a second because he was barking really loudly. I think yes, I was talking about the editing. Sorry, I'm glad I left that comment on screen. It helped me to get back to what I was doing. I keep notes and put my pen next to my note, and my pen wasn't next to a note. So being able to have it as a non-edit means that the time that you have in the live means that's the piece of content done, walk off. Or you can come back in, you can download your live stream, you can edit it up, make it all tight and beautiful without any of the extra conversation, really hone in on the points that you want to do, add in some B-roll, a little bit of background music, go create a mix, and then you've got a whole nother piece of content. Or you can do what I do, which is I grab my link out of I use the link out of StreamYard rather than the YouTube link, but either link works. Go and pop that over into Opus and create some really interesting clips. Now, I'm not going to say that all Opus clips are perfect and it's not just one click and you've made a video. You need to go in and tighten them up a little bit, honestly. Sometimes they start in an odd spot and they end in the middle of a thought and you're just like, this isn't working. But give it a little bit of a tighten. It takes like a few minutes, and then again, you've got another small piece of content to add to your channel. So there's lots of options here. Doug says, did someone say money? Yeah, like Doug, how many times have you heard people, they want to start a new channel, but they just care about the niche making the most money. They don't actually have an idea or a concept of what they want to do originally. So yeah, for me, I'm passionate about two things, all things aviation and live streaming. Yeah, see, I've got two major loves as well. Mine is yarn craft and live streaming. Or more YouTube. Can I broaden it to slightly? Because I'm passionate about YouTube and look, I'm going to go with yarn craft and online communities because that makes it nice and broad, right? I need the broadness because I love all the things in that bucket. You can absolutely make shorts out of your live stream for sure, and quite easily now. It used to be a lot more difficult, but it's so much easier now. Home rapid repair. Oh, I was chatting with, that I almost killed my teeth. Oh. Rebecca MC, it's so good to see you here. Thanks for jumping in. As a creator of paid courses, I wonder if folks would use the live stream to bypass the course. Well, I can see why you would consider that, why that could be a concern. But what I would be doing is in your live streams, just be conscious of what you're talking about. Just be conscious and aware that, is this part of the paid course? Can I point out, for more information, you could go and join this course? Could you use it as a slight little funnel to your course? It would depend on how much you give away in your live streams. I'm definitely in team 101 for free deep dive costs. So, and Russell, you and I are both part of Primal Video's accelerator program. Justin Brown does the same thing. He gives away a lot of free information. There's a lot of free stuff on his YouTube channel. But then his course is more deep diving. It's more digging into the back end, digging into, sales funnels and and also like building a business on it and how to hire staff. You know, there's all this additional stuff that he doesn't even mention on the YouTube channel, let alone going deep dive on the stuff that he puts on the YouTube channel. So you could think of it that way. There's also creators out there whose course is quite literally a navigational map through their free content. They've got so much free content on their channel that to make it like a fast run through of a course, they've actually been able to just create a map, and they can sell that map as their course. So you've got to think about how you're going to do it, how you're going to frame it, but definitely keeping in mind, if you don't want to give away information for free, keep a note, keep a list to yourself of something to look down at when you realize you're going a little far. You can have a little note that says, if you want more information on this, I've got it in a course, but I'm going to move on to the point of this live stream. So, you know, there's definitely ways around that. Doug says, I agree. Passion, enjoyment in the topic is so important for longevity. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you are not passionate about something, can you imagine working on it for 10 years? That's how I think about it. Is something that I want to talk about on my channel something that I would be happy to go on about for 10 years? And you may not be able to look, you might be like, well, I don't know. I mean, I've liked it for the last 2 years. Have I got another 10 years? Maybe you've got another 8 years, but you've got more than 2 months. You've got more than whatever the current fad trend is. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you definitely need to be passionate about what you're talking about. Hey, Jerry, good to see you. Pat Flynn does a really good job with live streaming and having courses behind a paywall in a non-deceptive way. And how important is that last line? In a non-deceptive way. I love that. That's one of the things I love about Pat Flynn as well, is that he really is passionate about live streaming and about podcasting and about making it so you can do it. And he will do these live streams where there's so much amazing free information that it's fantastic and you can get started. But if you really want to dig in deep, go and buy one of his courses that he will quite happily tell you about. You've really just got to just sort of frame it better in your own brain of what is acceptable for you versus what is not acceptable for you. I've just realized I don't have this screen on. I just wanted to double check that the stream strength was good, and it currently is. That is good. Let's have a look here. Give a ton of value and information and you will sell even more courses. Absolutely. Because courses, like this is how I look at courses, and I could be wrong, and this may not be how you want your course to be, Russell. I don't know. But for me, courses are a way to navigate something quicker. Because the reality is most things you can learn by yourself online with sweat equity, right? Like look at the majority of my business. Look at the Fiberific website. I learned how to build a website using YouTube videos and, you know, like little free resources all over the place. And people talk about don't use this plugin because it'll do this. And, you know, like I nutted it out. Now, that was because at that time, I didn't have the extra money to spend on someone just to build it for me, which was thousands of dollars that I just didn't have. And B, I had time. I had so much time. So I was able to pour that time into learning the skill to do it for free. So really, was it free? How much was my time worth? At that point, my time was worth less than it is now. So now I'm more inclined to pay for a course or pay for someone else to do it, because that way I'm able to focus on the other things that are either more enjoyable, more important, or that I'm interested in. Because it's not to say I'm not still just going to sit down and nut out how to work something out, because I am obsessed. I am addicted to learning. Is anyone else here in the chat addicted to learning? Like I have got stuff in my calendar that I block out time to go and learn something new. Go and learn something, because I'm addicted to learning. I need new information. I need to nut out how to use a new thing. I need to sit down and run through my Roadcaster course, run through a YouTube security course. You know, Liron Segev has this phenomenal YouTube security course. I wish I had a link for it handy. If I'll find one and I'll put it in the description below. But it is terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you. I've had to take a little break from it because I got a bit overwhelmed. So I went and actioned a few things, and I'm going to go back in and finish it. But it is a phenomenal course on how to make your YouTube and your online life more secure. So yeah, absolutely addicted to learning. Learning feels good. Yeah, absolutely. Live streaming can be a good way to promote courses. You can answer people what they will learn and still sitting on the fence and if they will buy. Absolutely. And I think that's why Russell's talking about using the live streams to like down the track. And I think that might be how he's going to do it. We both know Justin Brown, and that's how Justin uses his live streaming. He only live streams once every few months. He does some Q&A on his YouTube channel, which then promotes into a free webinar, which is an amazing webinar. So it actually just ran last week, so I'll let you know when it's on again. Then once you've done that free webinar, if you still want more information, because there's so many good actionable things in that, again, free webinar. It's not just a long sales pitch, because I hate those. We're Australian, like not Russell, but Justin and I are both Australian. Those long sales pitch things, they make our skin crawl and blood boil, because it feels like such a waste of time. And it might be an Australian thing. We do not like it. If you do the hard pitch on me, I'm out instantly. I'm like, bye-bye. I don't like being hard sold to. I get these emails, like I think we're all getting them at the moment, like the SEO, your website's looking so good, but you need some, nope. Bye. Like, aside from the fact that it's rubbish and spam and it's totally 2012, like as Doug puts it, 2012 information, aside from that part of it, it's a hard sell in my like cold call, hard sell in my inbox. I didn't ask for it. I'm not interested. If I want something like that, I'm going to go and find it. Absolutely. Legal Minded with Karen is addicted to learning as well. Absolutely. Livestream Consult says, I'm of the opinion I need to learn it first when I can learn it first, then when I can outsource whatever it is. I mean, and that's the thing, like, I know not everybody is in the same position, right? I'm really good at learning software. It's just something that is always, like, I grew up with no computers, right? I'm in that Xennials with the X at the start, like Xennial. I'm in this little tiny bracket where I grew up with no computers, but my first job had a computer. So it's really bizarre for me when I hear of people in my age group that go, oh, no, I didn't grow up with computers. It's not really natural for me. And I'm just like, really? Because it's totally natural for me. It's weird. And so I have to accept that there are some people in the world that don't learn easily about or on computers. So that's going to be hard for you if you're one of those people. I'm sorry. But I absolutely love it, and I dig in, and I think it's fantastic. But in saying that, I love what Livestream Consultant says here, because once I've learned how to do something and I can outsource it, I love that too, because sometimes people try to pull the wool over your eyes to tell you that something's so much harder than it is so they can bump up the price. And you're like, really? Because when I do it, it's just this, and this. Like, what are you doing differently? Is it better? It could be better. But if it's not, and you just know, you've learned something, you know how to protect yourself and your business. But in saying that, sometimes you don't have the time to learn a thing and you've just got to trust that these people are doing the right thing. That's when I say go with trusted companies. So there was in a discussion over on the Nick Nimmin live chat this week, there was discussion over where do you hire somebody to help you with your YouTube stuff. And I think they were talking thumbnails in particular, but I'm just going to broaden it out a little here. There's a place called ytjobs.co, and Paddy Galloway created this. So if you don't know who he is, just go and have a quick search. But basically, it is a resource to hire people who are specifically good at different things for YouTube, right? Whether it's video editing, thumbnail making, channel management, like all sorts of stuff, like all sorts of skills that you need that are specific to YouTube, right? But the thing I love about it is you can see who they've worked for and you can actually get a reference. It's kind of like LinkedIn for YouTube. Because if you go to one of these less expensive places like Fiverr, you don't know who you're getting. You don't really know who to trust. And after having done up to a point Leron's education course, there was a discussion about I don't know how much of it I can say, but I'll very broad strokes it. But basically somebody hired somebody to edit their videos. and that person outsourced it to somebody else, and that other person was actually a bad guy. And the person who outsourced it out didn't know they were a bad guy. But because you had all these like steps and you didn't know where your video ended up going, you need to trust your video editors, because like depending on what you're doing, you could be entering in password information that you're expecting that editor to blur out for you. You know, that's sitting right there. So you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful. Onto the topic. Always learning. Every day is a good day to learn. Absolutely. Amazing Yacht Destination said, not just an Australian thing, hate sales pitches, but love actionable information. All right, those of you here right now in the chat, if you had a choice between a hard sale, my hand's like right, I'm like, sorry, Michael, I need a low arm for these live streams. A hard sale or a really great actionable tip, which one would get you to actually spend money with that person in the long run? That's my question for you in the chat. If you had someone just doing a hard sell, this is an amazing product, you've got to get in, it's going to disappear soon, and it, you know, that could be the exact same product, right? Like it's good. Okay, let's go with it is a good thing. Would you prefer the hard sell or someone who goes, hey, you could do this thing, it's going to really help you. Here you go, have that for free. Also, if you want more, I do have this course. Anyway, bye. You know, like which one would you prefer? I like learning, but I'm overwhelmed with learning opportunities. My biggest challenge is focusing on productive activities. I'm not going to try and say that again. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Versus jumping on the shiny object training opportunities. Yes, it is hard. You need to think about, what am I going to learn that will help me increase my income revenue stream? And sometimes, like for me, I forget that bit. It's like, what do I want to learn? Full stop. So yeah, Fiverr is so sketchy. Buyer beware. Absolutely. Aline Smith, it's so good to see you. Thank you for jumping in. Tech for your needs says, I'll learn till the day I die. That's where I'm at as well. I'm in team learn till you die. Absolutely. The action tip always wins for me. I will go with the tip. See, and this is the thing, right? So why are there people out there just trying to do a hard sell and expecting people to jump on board when, you know, like even with good testimonials, I went to a thing, right? Like this is totally off topic. Like, welcome to a Chantelle live stream. I went to, like, Gary Vee came to Australia. Like, it was quite a few years ago. And it was just promoted as Gary Vee's coming to speak at this thing, blah, 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 blah. So I signed up, I got my ticket, I went along. Started at 9 o'clock in the morning. Gary Vee didn't talk until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the whole lead up was these entrepreneurs just hard pitching. Like, and this is a live thing. I went somewhere in person. There was over 1,000 people there. And they stood on stage and brought up human live testimonials to talk about, you know, how amazing their thing was. And I'm just like, this is not what I came for. And they would be like, you have to run down the back and sign up for this $10,000 thing and blah, blah. And people were getting up and running. And I'm just like, I am so not that person. I'm not that person. So different strokes for different folks. I get that for sure. But for me, it's always going to be the actionable tip. If someone has got an actionable tip that they can give away for free and then go, hey, if you want more, I've got that over here behind this little paywall, I'm more inclined to go, oh, really? Because that actionable tip was fantastic. So what's behind the wall? But then you need to follow it up. Don't give away your best tip for free. And then people go and pay and be like, you have to manage expectations. Anyway, actionable tips every time, for sure. All right, so back to what we were talking about. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. So this live stream is about what's actually stopping you from live streaming. Okay, so there are a number of things, because every person is individual. You're an individual. You will have your own reasons as to why you aren't live streaming. Like Russell, it's not good for the business plan right now. Might be down the track, but you considered it, you weighed it out, you decided. And like, live stream consultants, they're working on a plan for another channel to talk about how their experience of being on 300 to 400 live streams. So you need to think about what it is that you want to give to the person that's watching. So for me, I want to give you confidence to live stream. I want to give you the skills that you are confident to live stream. So it all boils down to confidence. So one of the big things that I hear when it's like, why aren't you live streaming? Maybe not so much for you guys, but when I'm talking to like business owners and things like that, they're like, I don't have the gear to live stream. And you sort of look around their office and I'm like, you have an iPad? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, you can live stream off that. Oh no, I need this setup, multiple screens, fancy lights, fancy microphone, fancy cameras. But you don't need any of that stuff. And it's taken me 10 years to get this stuff. I didn't just go out and buy it all at once. I had a laptop with a webcam, and that's what I started with. I didn't even have lighting to start with. I used a window that was bad. It beated full strength. I glow in a pile of my videos. Like I quite literally glow, and I've left them up. So if you want to go and check them out, over on the Fiberific channel, you can see glowing Chantelle, like quite literally white glowing. Couldn't fix it. Didn't have the skills to fix it in post-production. It is still there. Let me have a look. When the person gives a tip for free before pitching the sale, they're giving the value proposition. They let me know that they care. Absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? When they give you the tip, whether or not you even know about, they have something to sell. And I love that. I love that whole, like, if I'm doing a webinar, and I've done a lot, like as in I've attended a lot of webinars, and this webinar is technically a live stream, everybody. If you've done a webinar, like if you've run a webinar, you have technically run a live stream. It's just to a different platform. That's the technology behind it. And I've done webinars where they'll get halfway through teaching you something. Oh, if you want this information, that's in the course. And you're just like, well, what I've just written down here is useless without the next step. I can't do anything with this. That annoys me. Don't do that. Give a full small thing, something small and full and actionable. Don't give the annoying thing, because you're annoying. That's annoying. Don't do that. No one likes to be annoyed. Your streaming setup photo you shared on Twitter was very impressive. I'm just using 2 Elgato webcams and a PC, 2 key lights, and 1 cheap 15 fine, I don't know how to say the word, obviously, mic. Hey, look, and as I said, this took me 10 years to get. And it's been slow, like one little piece of equipment, the next little thing, the next little thing. The first thing that I purchased on my YouTube journey, no idea Home Rapid Repair. I've not actually heard of the brand, so I don't know. I don't know a lot of microphone brands. I know a couple of the major ones. My background was theatre lighting. Okay, so stage work rather than, so in-person entertainment, rather than anything else, which is kind of funny because my first videos, the lighting is terrible, but I knew it was terrible, but I couldn't afford to fix it. I went with a microphone first because I think one of the things is people can put up with bad video if the audio is not bad. But if your audio is crackly and bad and distracting, then they're going to click away. They can't deal with that. It's inherent in human brains. It's so much harder to focus through bad audio than it is to focus through bad video. So my first purchase was a Shure PGA 58, and I went with that one because it was a lot cheaper. And the only difference between the SM58 and the PGA 58 is the body build. The actual insides are the same, basically. And I used to use the the SM58s on stages because if idiots drop them or like drop mic, boom. I saw a meme the other day that was like, if you drop in a mic, you've never paid for a microphone. And I'm like, oh my God, how true is that? So, you know, and for me, it's like the SM58s, they can be driven over by a car and they're fine. Mine was never being driven. Actually, I think I've still got it. Hang on. I do. Here it is. It's my Shure PGA 58. I still have it. Still works. It's still fantastic. Still use it when I'm doing sort of any sort of vocal stuff. As in like singing vocals, I find it easier to hold. But yeah, so there's different things that are good. So I spent my first money on a microphone, but that was before I learned that I could have, instead of spending, I think that was, I can't even remember how much, it was like 10 years ago. I don't remember how much it was. I could have gone out and bought a $15 lav mic, right? The Boya BY-M1. I didn't know I could do that. Now I do. And now as a first mic, that is my recommendation for anybody. If you need to up your game and you don't have crazy money, go and buy the SM58s. No, go and buy a Boya BY-M1. Absolutely. It's $15 and it will just next step your audio. Okay. That's my piece of advice is you don't need all the bells and whistles. I have them because I am a tech nerd. I love new technology. I love playing with things. I like getting, and you know, like my old lighting history is probably why I'm obsessed with lights. But anyway, that's actually probably I didn't mesh those two things together before, but it's probably exactly what it is. So it is just definitely a way to help. Your goal is not to make this beautiful appearing studio. Your goal is to have just enough of whatever it is that you need to make it so you, the viewer, can enjoy the time that you're spending and sitting. So if you need to pay for an app for your phone to get rid of a watermark, do that. You know, if you want to use that as a webcam, there's an Elgato app that I use on my phones when I want to use a phone as a extra camera. I can't remember the name of it. It's like Elgato Hub or something. It's Elgato Epoch Cam. I don't know. It's an Elgato product. I'm looking it up. Yeah, it's Epoch Cam Pro, which is Epoch Cam is free. Epoch Cam Pro is paid. I paid because I wanted to get rid of the watermark. You know, so you've got options where you don't have to go and spend $11 billion to build a decent live streaming setup. For me, I really need three things. I need decent audio, decent lighting, but I need to be able to read the chat. So that's why I go big monitors, because I need to read the chat. I need to see it easily. If you've got great eyesight, you can do it on an iPad, you can do it on your phone, whatever. That's great. For me, I want the big writing. So yeah. And so that was a thing that I made the decision of for my me having a good monitor to run the stream from makes zero difference to you as the viewer. Other than the fact that I can see that, you know, Russell has said he has one of those, but use an inline preamp. You know, so other than the fact that I can see and read your names easier, it makes zero difference to you what I have here. This makes a difference. That makes a difference. The software I'm using to stream makes a difference. That's it. So you can do it with the phone. You can do it with your iPad. You don't need all the things. Back to the chat. When I started years back, I needed a computer to do a lot of research. Realized the built-in cam was awful. Got a Logitech C930 and a $15 USB mic and DIY'd my LED lighting and it worked great. See? That is awesome. For me, once I realized my webcam was awful, I went for the C920. But I used the gear that I'd bought for my videos. So I used, I think it's a Zoom H5. It's still in the drawer. A Zoom H5 with that PGA plugged into it and it's too far under the desk, but I had a desk stand for the microphone thing. They weren't ideal. They worked. That was what they worked. And I had bought them to make videos because I made videos first. And they worked for that. But when I started live streaming more, I talk with have you guys noticed how much I talk with my hands? Like, have you guys worked out that I can't just like put my hands down and not move them? And so I need space so that I can talk with my hands without knocking things. I was constantly knocking the microphone. I was constantly hitting the webcam. So as I've progressed and grown and realized things about myself, I've upgraded a few things. Like, so now I have articulated arms that give me lots of space. So, but that's a personal thing. You may not be a talking with the hands kind of person. Russell says he's now, regular mic now is the NTG4 and he loves it. And this is the thing. You started with something else. You got going. You did the work. And then once the money started coming in a little bit, then you upgraded. And that's what I did. I started with something else. I changed over to a different microphone. I changed over to a different microphone. As my different recording situations changed, I had to change microphone. So I've got a Rode NTG. Is it a video mic NTG? It's a video mic NTG that at my other studio was perfect. I used it for everything. A USB mic that was just rock solid. I didn't need any audio interfaces for it. It was fantastic. Unfortunately, in this studio space, I don't know if you guys can hear, but my husband is working from home about 5 meters that way. I can hear what he's saying. Hopefully this mic is not picking it up. And so I needed to change the audio to suit the situation. And so that's what I did. If this wasn't going to be ideal, I was going to try and use a lav mic, but I was going to have to shut the door, and this room is an oven. I think you guys have heard me complain about that before. So yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, he must be, yeah. Oh, you can't hear him? That's great. That's so good. He'll be so relieved. He's not going to get fired. So that's cool. So yeah, so you need to have the gear that you just barely need. Okay. Like that's the thing. So once you've gotten rid of that, it's like, I don't have the right gear. Yes, you do. You've got an iPad. You've got a current modern mobile phone. Like anything in the last 5 years of mobile phones will work for a live stream, I reckon. Don't quote me on that. But it should. The smartphones with the camera, they should work. Okay? So you've got all these options now just to strip away. And who here in the chat prefers a highly produced thing versus a real authentic thing? Now, if you can do both, cool. That's great. But if you had to choose between someone doing something that was highly produced but looked it versus something that was really just real and authentic, which one would you go with? Yeah, I'm not reading that one out loud, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is, here we go. As you grow, you can upgrade what you need for your situation. This is the thing. As you grow, your situation changes, right? So when you very first start, you may have the corner of a dining table in a busy, bustling house. You may only have the option to sit in a park. You may have these very limited options and time windows of when to do things. Do what you can. Don't just go, well, I can't because. Do what you can do. Let's have a look here. Amazing Yacht Destination says authentic. 80 to 90% is what I like. 80 to 90% of what? I'm not sure what that means. But yeah, if you can have good production and authenticity, boom, winning. But if you have to choose between the two, it's a no-brainer for me. Every time, it's a no-brainer for me. I would rather have something technologically fall apart, maybe not, you know, literally, than a really fake-ish thing. So that's me. Oh, you're 80 to 90% of perfection. Okay. All right, I get it. I'm closer to, like, if you're watching this live stream, we're closer to 50%, so I'm not quite sure why you're here, Russell. But yeah, so having the technology is not actually an excuse to not live stream. So it is, it's not actually an excuse. Like if you've got no internet, yeah, that's an excuse to not live stream. You know what I mean? If you have unstable internet, if you've got low grade internet, all valid reasons to not live stream, at least until you sort out that problem. Totally valid. But if it's just you don't have the U-Butte set up, that's an excuse. It's not a reason. Okay, so we've done the technology. We've talked about being emotionally ready. There is no such thing. You just need to, you're not going to be prepared until you've done it. And then after that first one, you're just like, oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Or it was as bad as I thought. Okay, next time, deeper breath before I hit go live, So you still keep going. Still keep going. Russell's just, your personality and enthusiasm put it well above. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely have enthusiasm, for sure. I like authentic but prepared. Seen too many live streams where they just go live to go live, no value is added in those cases. Do you know what? I'm like, in all honesty and fairness, sometimes I feel a little underprepared for these live streams. I always write myself a little, a little run sheet of you can't see it, but a little run sheet of the things that I want to talk about, the points that I want to make. But in saying that, I also really want to be able to answer your questions. So I don't want to have it in such a way that this is basically a live recording of a video where I ignore the chat. So I kind of like try to make it fluid, but it makes me feel a little underprepared. But I still go live, even though I do have that feeling. And I'm hoping that you guys don't feel that I come in unprepared. Because I agree with you. Sometimes you just sort of sitting there like, why was this happening? Now, if they're a gamer and they're just playing the game, that's the point of their live. That's their value. But if it's like an education channel or something, and you're just like, what are we doing here? Does anyone know what's going on? If it's a live Q&A, that's its purpose. So you've got to think of what is the purpose? What is the reason? Actually, the next point is reasons for streaming. So excellent segue, live streaming consultants. Thank you for being my unintentional plant to bring me on to my next point. Your reasons for streaming. Why are you streaming? Is it just because Chantelle said you need to stream? Then that's not a good enough reason. Sorry. I'd love to think it was a good enough reason because my ego could use that little like ego stroke. But no, that's not a good enough reason. Why are you live streaming? What is the value you will be giving to your audience? What thing are you doing in a live stream that they're not going to get out of one of your VODs? Why are you live streaming? So you need to have a think about that. Now, for me, why I'm live streaming is because I want to help you. That's why I want to live stream. I want to help you feel confident and comfortable to live stream. And by showing you that even when I'm tired or unprepared or feeling unprepared, even though I'm technically prepared, all of these things don't take away from the fact that I want to help you. It's not about it's not only about getting views, about getting watch time, about getting income, which this channel does not do yet, other than amazing donations of coffees, which you guys are awesome. This channel is about helping you. There is no ulterior motive. It's about me helping creators create in a different way. So you need to think about why are you live streaming? Is it for like home rapid repairers so you can jump in and help somebody who just happens to spot your live stream who's like having a problem with something that you can help fix, and then they can go and fix it, and then they're like, oh my God, I fixed the thing, thank you. Sometimes the reason why you live stream is to just get some one-on-one connection with you, the viewer. Sometimes that's the reason, but you have to it has to be a tangible reason for the viewer to want to watch that. So why would they watch that live stream? So let's have a look here. great point. If you're really known, you can just go live for the heck of it. However, for normal people, please bring the value. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I don't enjoy any live stream where they don't interact with the audience. To me, I'm like, why did you go live? If you have no intention of interacting with the audience, do a pre-record. Like if you have zero intention of it at any point interacting with the audience, live stream is not what you want. Okay? Now, if you're going to do a podcast where you interact with the audience a little bit at the start, interact with the audience a little bit at the end, and then trim that all off for the podcast, that's fine. You have interacted with the audience. But if you go live and have zero intention of interacting with the audience, don't go live. Part of what I like in the Fiberific Live is you never know where it will go. Oh, I know. That's the thing. If you guys have ever caught a Fiberific live stream, it is just this rambling mess of Ramble Town. Right now we're playing a game where the dice roll decides which project I'm going to work on, and the audience can veto it with different ways, and you know, and we talk about anything and everything. Anything and everything. Because it's what a craft group is like a real life craft group does that. They'll sit around crocheting or knitting or spinning or whatever they're doing, but then solve the problems of the world. And that's what we do over on the Fiberific live streams. Even with the Hanger Talk style stream, you need a topic or two to help guide the Hanger Talk. I'm going to ask a question. What's a Hanger Talk? I don't know the term. So please, if you could clarify that for me, I'd really appreciate it. I would like to learn what that term means. So the reasons for streaming, you need to have them clear, at least in your own mind. Because if you're not clear with your intention, the audience will never know what's going on. So, you know, if you guys ever feel that I'm not clear, you need to let me know, please. And that way I can learn and I can grow as well. Any, like those of you that are in the chat right now, or as in, like those of you that are here in the chat, or those of you that are watching replay that watch all the time, you'll know that I do get sidetracked. It happens. I get sidetracked by the chat, which for me is the reason why, one of the reasons why I'm here is to take your questions, is to answer your questions. So that's part of why I do it. But you need to decide what is your reason why, and is that enough for your audience? Is it okay? Okay. Hanger Talk is like Hanger Aviation or Hang Out. I'm not sure. It could be either. Actually, technically both work, right? Pilots hanging out in the hangar. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And that's another thing to remember is if you're using, not that live streaming consultants probably was doing this intentionally, but if you're using words that your audience aren't going to understand, you need to be prepared and ready to explain them. So understanding what you're talking about is really good. Oh, here we go. We're going to learn something. It's an aviation thing where a bunch of pilots get together at someone's hangar and shoot the breeze, but there's always someone that will bring up a topic of discussion. Okay. All right. Okay. Pilots hanging out in a hangar. All right. I get it. It's kind of, all right. I get that. I'm not big into aviation. Like I like to fly places, but that's about as far as aviation goes for me. So that's probably why I didn't get it. So I'm thinking hangar instead of hangar. So yeah. Doug says, like, create a language to outsiders. Absolutely. If you are talking the language of your niche and somebody comes in and they have no idea what you're talking about, it can be very, very, very difficult for them to feel like they can be involved in the conversation. Now, I'm not one who'll dumb down words. It's not something I do. But, and my husband's always like, why do you have to use a big word when you could have used these little ones? And I'm like, because I know this one and it was easier to say. And so it's a conversation. But yes, watching your language. And this is a big thing. We have this discussion a lot when people are titling their video. You need to title the video of what people are searching for, not what you in your industry calls it. So it's one of those things. Yes. And the abbreviations, yes, watch time, CTR, AVD. If I sat here and talked about, the CTR was, 7.6, but the AVD was, if somebody came into this stream, they would have no idea what I'm talking about unless they're hardcore into analytics on YouTube, which is a very small niche. Very small niche. So you need to be speaking in slightly broader terms, or be prepared to answer the question without being snarky. I asked a question in a group. Someone was using an acronym I didn't know. And I asked the question, hey, what does that mean? And it was literally, because this was real life people, they literally all turned and looked at me and were like, well, if you don't know, then you shouldn't probably be in this conversation. I was just like, yeah, definitely don't want to be in this conversation. So being approachable and explaining things, because sometimes we unintentionally use the lingo of our niche. It happens. We're embedded in the trenches. This becomes our language. But also realize that there's people who you want to come in and join your niche and join in your little conversation that may not understand the words you're using. So be prepared to explain them and talk about them and explain the broader picture. It'll actually help you understand what you're talking about better if you are trying to work out how to explain things to a third grader so that they can get the broad picture or broad strokes of what you're talking about. There are more folks with hyperanalytica than you think. Look, I know there are. Hyperanalytica is a term that I think Russell coined, at least within the PVA community, about where you dig into your analytics and get lost in the analytics, and then it actually stalls your creation because you're too busy focusing on the analytics. It's the same with car guys getting together in someone's garage, shooting the breeze while working on an individual's car. Okay, cool. So it does work across things. And now that I understand what it is, I get the terminology as well. So it's one of those things where I needed to learn the word. I needed to learn the work. It's kind of like, for me, I would put it into, it's a craft group where everyone comes in and sits down and works on their projects. And if someone's stuck, everybody helps. So we all have the different ways that we can think about it that brings it home for us. You need to do that for your audience. So, my next question for you, which, I know we're running a little over, and if you're willing to stick around, I do have one or two more questions. It's, what would live streaming look like to you if it was easy? A friend of mine puts this into my head all the time. Well, what would that look like if it was easy? Because I do try to complicate things. I'm like, but then I'll need to build this out and I need to do this and I'll need to, no. What would it look like if it was easy? Like strip it all away. What would it look like? So for me, if I needed to, prime example, last week's live stream, right? As I was setting up, the hour and a half before the live stream, we had no power. So there've been some major storms. There was power outages all over the place. We were really lucky. We have friends around who've lost their roofs, who've lost livestock. We were exceptionally lucky that we just lost power for a couple of hours. I have another friend who lost power for 7 days. What was that live stream going to look like? And I had dug out an old i5 laptop that can be charged with a USB. So it's a little Lenovo thing that I don't use for much production because it can't cope, but it can run a bare bones live stream. I've done it on there before. And it was going to get a battery pack plugged into it. That same battery pack can charge two things. So I was plugging my phone into it as well. And I was going to hotspot from my phone using the webcam and my a lav mic, a 3.5mm lav mic, And for me, that's the bare bones. I pulled the window open. I'd push my monitors aside so I got more of the natural light. And that's how I was going to stream. And then 20 minutes before the stream, the power came on. So I pushed everything off the desk and threw everything back together and made it how I wanted it. But bare bones was going to be a laptop with its webcam, its dodgy 720p webcam, a lav mic, and an internet connection. That was my bare bones. And that's what was going to make it easier and make it so I could still do it. And that's what I use when I'm traveling. I do stick I do have my little battery light. So if I needed extra light, I was going to be able to do those. I realized I haven't been keeping them charged. So they've been charged all week just in case. But that's what it was going to look like bare bones for me. So what would it look like bare bones for you? Would you use your phone? Would you use an iPad? Do you have a laptop? Would you use that? You don't need the gear. Strip it away. Make it easy. Use things that you know. StreamYard is awesome for that. There's a link for StreamYard in the description. You can use StreamYard for free to work out if it's going to be what you need it to be. A lot of the different streaming things, even the paid for ones, have a free version. So you can work out if it's going to work for your workflow. And I love that they give you something that you can trial. You don't have to jump in and commit to it before you've used it. You don't. Give it a try. Be willing to give it a try. Livestream Consult says, pick a topic within your niche, pose a question about it, and then run with the replies and help those watching understand whatever it is. That's basically exactly how I run this live stream. I pick a topic, I pose some questions, I run with the replies, and I really try to help you understand what I'm saying. So, yeah, definitely. OBS to YouTube or Facebook is also free. It is. OBS can be a little daunting for people, especially those that are not technologically inclined or want to be technologically inclined. I used OBS for a long time. I still think OBS is a solid tool. I think it's improving constantly. But I still recommend StreamYard to those just getting started because it is as simple as jump in, add your microphone, add your camera, click go live. Well, add where you want to stream to, then click go live. Whereas OBS, especially if you want to multi-stream, you can multi-stream for sure, but you will need to have a really solid bandwidth. But OBS is also Windows based, so you need a computer to run it. You can't run it on a phone or a tablet. If you have a phone or a tablet and don't want to use StreamYard, just go live using the YouTube app or the Facebook app. They both have their limitations. You don't actually have to use an encoder at all. You can go directly to these platforms, but only one at a time. So here we go. As to hardware, cell phone, earbuds, StreamYard, go. Absolutely. There you go. That is like bare bones. Strip it down, go live, still give your information. As long as people can hear you and probably see you, that's it. That's all you need. Says the girl with the fancy lights. All right. And then my final question for you that are here before we run away and drink coffee and, do other things this evening, going to bed or whatever it is that you're going to do. Or for me, I'm going to go and start my day. What do you think your community would like you to live stream about? What is it that you're seeing as what do you think that you're doing or seeing that your community want to do? So a good place to check that made no sense whatsoever. But a good place to check is, what are they asking for in the comments? What are they asking for in forums and in chats and Facebook groups and all that? What are they asking for the questions that you could answer in a live stream? You could make a video about it for sure. But if you let them know, hey, I'm going to answer this question in a live stream, they might come along to listen. And especially if you go such and such. So like Russell from Florida Manufactured Home Living asked this question over in the Facebook group. That lets Russell know you're talking directly to Russell. Russell, we're talking directly to you. That lets people know there's a Facebook group, which will then lead into the question, Facebook group, what are you talking about? So, you know, there's lots of ways to do these things. But then you get to answer their question. More importantly than anything else, you get to answer their question and help them with their pain point. So, or even some people, the goal is to say hi. How are you going? What are you up to? Do you have a favorite ice cream? Russell here is having ice cream next. Is it coffee ice cream, Russell? I'm curious. My favorite is choc mint or rum and raisin, which is hilarious because I'm allergic to rum, but they don't put real rum in rum and raisin, so I'm good. Too much info, I'm sure. But little things about you that you don't normally share as part of your videos because live streaming is a more relaxed environment. It is a conversation between two people. It's just one of those people does all the talking. We've all got one of those friends, right? If you're friends with me, I do all the talking. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm a talky person. So on that note, I have really appreciated you joining me today in this live chat. I hope that there was something in here that helped you make a new decision, and that you can go forward with that. I just saw a comment come in. I just had a boat show. I gave so many great ideas as to what people were asking, so many topics that people want more information on. Fantastic. Write them down before you forget. Absolutely. Here we go. I've had streamers ask me, how do I do the cool camera moves, or how do you get the great audio you always have? Absolutely. Make the video, make the live stream, answer their questions. I know that showing someone how to do something while you're live can be tricky depending on what it is that they're asking. Like if someone's like, how do you do this thing in StreamYard? If I share this screen, it's going to do the like, boo, 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 boo. So some of those things I'm like, I'll have to make a video, but I'll put it up, you know? So, because I don't know how to stop that from happening. If anyone knows how to stop that from happening, I would greatly appreciate it. But I really want to say thank you to everybody for joining in. Thank you for spending your time with me. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you for getting this far in the replay of the Chantelle ramblings of Ramble Town. And I'll catch you next week with another topic on live streaming. Bye now.